Cheers and welcome. This is a brand new workshop. So excited. Who does not love to talk about color? We're going to talk about the 6 steps to picking the best color schemes for clients. I'm going to break it down for you, and you're going to have kind of this step-by-step process to approach a space. All right. What are we going to go over? We are going to talk about how color impacts a space. Super dramatic, as we all know. Why people are making more color mistakes today than ever before. I've got some interesting statistics for you, which you all know I love to put in. Why color is not just about paint in a space. I know you know this. This is where we're going to put some photo examples of what was good and what not to do. 6 steps. I'm going to get right into it to picking the most ideal color schemes. I'm going to take kind of my 3-day course and kind of condense it into this next, hopefully less than an hour. We're going to talk about those steps one by one, how important it is to assess what I call the silent client. That's where we begin our scheme, where to start building that scheme, the most tried and true white when in doubt, and of course, photo inspirations all along the way. Who is this training for? You are in the right place if you just love learning about color. I don't care anything about you, whether you have a business, don't have a business, thinking about a business, or whether you just love color, you're a design enthusiast, this is absolutely for you. Or if you're renovating and want color tips for your own home, you're going to love this. It's particularly too for the designers and home stagers who want to grow or add a color consulting side to their business. I'm going to be approaching this training with you mostly in mind because this training was born from a need for my stagers and designers to have more specific color training. So if you're an enthusiast and I'm talking about how you deal with clients, it's okay. You'll get the gist of what I'm saying. It is for my design enthusiasts. I told you, looking to create a business. It's for agents even and homeowners. They're looking for tips for picking color. So if that's you, go ahead and put the chat me. But I should, let's see if I can do this. I'm going to see kind of where you're at. Oops, never mind. Let me go back. I was going to do a poll. Sometimes I have these fun polls where it helps me to know kind of where you're at, and I'm not seeing it. That's okay. We'll skip the poll. Okay. Basically, if you like to see before photos that go from this to this, you're in the right place. I pretty much know that's most of you. I see a lot of me's. Okay. If you don't know who I am, my name's Audra Slinky. I'm president of the Home Staging Resource. I started my staging and design business way back in 2004. And then I morphed into training. My sister still has our staging design business. I did it with my sister, but I saw a need for the staging industry to grow. So I started the first mixed media online staging training way back in 2006. I've been training people who have a passion for design and staging and color and vacation rental design for the last 20 years, pretty much. But I talk specifically in this training about my color training because I had trained stagers for many years, and so many of them had said, we need you to take kind of your approach to training, that kind of step by step formula, and please create a color course for us. So I spent years kind of putting that together, interviewing a lot of experts, talking to people, and thus my color training was born. It won innovative course, yeah, product of the year. I've won most innovative product of the year for many years. And the thing that I really love is helping people like you to create successful businesses, making money doing what you love. You guys are great. So, this course kind of started with a story, and you may be wondering, what does this yellow school bus have to do with your story? Well, I'm going to ask you in the chat room, have you ever made a color mistake in your life? A paint color, fixture color, furnishing color? Yeah. I'm expecting to see a lot of yeses because I think at some point we all have, even when we were little kids painting our rooms, right? The bright pink or whatever we did. My color was pretty devastating. This was before I even got into staging and design. I was 8 months pregnant with my first child. We had just moved into a brand new build home. I was so excited. And I was talking to a painter I had been referred to about wanting to put the walls a very pale, sunny yellow. That was when yellow was very popular. I'm going back like 25 years, you guys. Anyway, and I had it all on the strip. I had the little strip. I never tested it. And the painter said, I know what you're shooting for. I think you want to go more sunny. I think you need to go further down the strip. So I said, okay, thinking my painter was the color expert. Lo and behold, I leave because I'm pregnant. I can't watch the painting. The big reveal, I walk in and my entire house is school bus yellow. Have you guys done that? Can you imagine? Tears, 8 months pregnant. I am tears. I'm crying. I'm screaming. We had zero money, but my husband, my wonderful husband, said, we are repainting this home tomorrow. So my mistake was a very expensive mistake, but not as expensive as a lot of other mistakes I'm going to show you because it only had to do with paint. But it was still a very devastating mistake. Yeah, I love it. You guys are like the emotions. And I know I'm not alone because if you go into House and you just search up or even Google any kind of discussion, if you search up picked the wrong paint color, you're going to get hundreds of thousands of discussions. People with their photos who have picked the wrong paint color. So you're not alone. I'm not alone, but it really necessitates the point that color is critical, right? We love it. We hate it. We've made mistakes. It's so hard to pin down, but people are making color mistakes now more than ever. In fact, almost half the paint sales, this is an older stat, so I would almost venture to say it's greater than that, is generated from people like me who picked the wrong paint. So, what design element, as you know, has the most impact on a space? It's color. And interestingly, Zillow comes out with, have you guys seen this on Zillow? They come out with, they AI researches the hundreds of homes for sale on the Zillow website, and they can calculate what paint colors actually made that home sell more versus not sell more. And they come up with these reports pretty much every other year. And the right paint colors can up or down a home 16,000 or down a home 10,000 or basically create a $25,000 swing just in the value of homes and staging. And that's why it's important as stagers that we really get that right paint color. And this is just a further statistic that shows this bottom paragraph that says that Zillow survey in a Harris poll, 40% of sellers did paint their homes. This is no surprise, they usually do. And 30% said they knew that paint actually helped them sell it. So we know it's critical with staging, but it's really not just about staging because, frankly, remodeling is on the rise and a lot of people are doing renovations, whether they're picking paint colors, fixed finishes, what have you. Everything has a color, right? So it's all really important. And I love to share this statistic. How many of you on this line are either a stager or designer? Go ahead and put me in the chat. And also just hold any questions if you can, because I'm going to get to questions at the end. I imagine most of you, because most of my audience is, but if you're not, that's okay. You're still in the right place. You know that. But look, check out this stat. There's never been a better time to be in this industry. The forecast through 2028 is like this. It's literally double what it was 10 years ago. It's crazy, which is exciting. And part of the reason why it's grown so exponentially is a lot of the reason has to do with the housing market, the real estate market, people having to live with their live, COVID, all these elements kind of have expanded our businesses. But the thing is, there's more choices in fixed finishes and furnishings now more than ever. How many of you feel like every time you go online, you find a new favorite store that you love, whether it's a furnishing, whether it's a pillow? I mean, it used to be we'd just go to Home Depot or Lowe's, but now you've got so many other tile and fixed choices. You've got obviously Wayfair, House, Amazon now sells pretty much everything. So these choices really lead to so much confusion for our clients because it's so then easy for them to pick a lot of wow choices, and we all know that that doesn't always work or translate in a space. And I love this little quick video I made, and hopefully it kind of translates through. I'm on floor and decor, and on the website, if you just click on tile, it'll say, okay, are you picking tile by project? Are you picking it by size? How about by material? And then how about by shape? Or maybe trend. And I mean, you get where I'm going here. I mean, the moment a client just gets to what they're searching for, do you think they feel a little overwhelmed? Completely overwhelmed. And even as designers and stagers, sometimes we are feeling very overwhelmed. There's just so many choices. So I venture to say more of those choices lead to confusion and expensive mistakes because color is not just about picking paint. How many of you, my stagers and designers, are seeing finish color mistakes in homes now more than ever? Meaning the countertop, not the right choice. The backsplash, cabinet paint, really expensive. When I say finish, fireplace surround, the rock didn't go with. Yeah. So I just talked at the RISA convention. I always usually speak at that convention and to 100 plus people. And I just said, how many everybody raise their hands. So it's more than it used to be. And that's what I mean, expensive mistakes. Because me having to pay for my painter a few thousand to come in and repaint my house and paint, but someone picking the wrong countertop or cabinets, that gets expensive. So here is where I'm going to get your opinion. Do you think they picked the most ideal fixed finishes in this kitchen? You can say it. It's a no. Renee was quick. I love you guys are good on the type. No, not. And when I talk about, I picked these photos from House, so I'm not going to tell you like who they are, but these were designers showcasing their work, just so you know. And you can see a lot of them are professional, but it's not ideal. Is it a bad kitchen? No, just not ideal. How about this? Can you pinpoint where the problem is in this kitchen? I love it. You guys are still typing the nose. Can you pinpoint the main thing? Yes, the paint color of the cabinets, not ideal with the marble and blue and the white appliances. It's a cream, not ideal. This one's going to get trickier. Can you pinpoint what's semi off in this space? Yeah, we're still talking about the last one. I get it. I get it. I'm moving fast. Yes. Shelly said it. She's right. When people do wow finishes, too many wow finishes in a space like this, where they look at all the movement in the stone of this island and all of the bling movement and the backsplash, there's just too many places to lay that. Is this a beautiful kitchen? Again, this is House. It's not a terrible kitchen, okay? But I'm telling you, these are expensive. They're not ideal choices, not ideal. Whether they swap and get a more simple stone for the island or they switch out the backsplash so that one gets to shine, fits. Okay. Now this is a tricky one because you could tell they completely staged this photo for the beaut. This is a very expensive kitchen remodel, probably a six-figure kitchen remodel. What do you think is the finish here that feels off? This is a tough one. Yeah, somebody said the white backsplash tile. It's a white backsplash tile, and it doesn't really fit with all of the warm tone finishes. Yeah, you guys are good. Okay. And this one's very similar to the other one. Again, two wow things, kind of just too much. And even the floor, because it's not a true hardwood floor. It's kind of one of those floors with lots of movement. It looks like tile. And then here, an expensive bathroom remodel, and it's just bam, too busy, too busy. People make these mistakes all the time. We see them all the time. That's why when I talk about color consulting, it's not just about picking paint. We're helping people avoid these expensive mistakes in the remodel. And this one always cracks me up, so I always have to keep it in because they put in a very expensive outdoor kitchen. Bam. Fred Flintstone all over. You guys are so funny. Yes, I'm gonna change. It hurts my eyes. It makes me cringe for these poor people. Okay. I know. Look at you guys. No, I know. I mean, I could look at photos like this forever because a lot of times we learn from looking at what not to do. But this is kind of sad. This one's a very subtle one, but it's still there. The fireplace is kind of a pink beige stone, and the paint color they picked, which looks like it's a green beige neutral, makes the pink beige look dirty. Makes it look dirty. It's not ideal. So let's get back to the training, and we're going to look at more photos. Don't worry. I always say there's kind of three goals for picking paint. Paint really is just paint, right? So it really should be the backdrop to great design. really the forefront is all of these beautiful elements, the great principles of design that we're putting in the space. And paint should be that backdrop and it should enhance the space with the furnishings, the fixtures, everything should harmoniously go together. Paint, and I'm talking paint, should never usually be the main event unless it fulfills the top two goals. And here's where this is what's so fun about trends, you guys. And I'm going to be doing a trends training. So please stay in touch with me. I think I'm going to do it in a month for the next year's trends because all of our paint color companies are coming up with their colors of the year. And you know what? They're all a very saturated color. What is a super hot trend? Is, you know, saturated paint color, dark paint color everywhere. And the thing is, that makes the paint a main event, and that's not easily going to work for a DIYer. So it's exciting. It means they're going to need us more, but that's what paint is. So here's some good examples. I asked some of my members who I love, love, love to share some of their paint colors. This is a beautiful dining room. It's not terrible, but look what she did here. The combination of this paint and the architectural elements as a designer just made it so much better. Here is a staging before and after. And obviously not an ideal color, simply made more ideal. Here's just, a blah dining room. And here's where paint becomes more of the main attraction, but Elaine did it right because she added some architectural elements and some great art. And here is another example of paint, allowing paint to become more of the main attraction because this is an Airbnb. And do you think this Airbnb bedroom would get much, attention from somebody online? The guests are like, skip, skip, skip. And and NSM staging completely did kind of a wow fun. And you can get a little crazy with Airbnbs, as you guys know. All right, so let's get to my 6 step to picking ideal choices. That's why I taught ideal. A lot of these rooms weren't horrific except for our Flintstones room. This is about picking ideal choices. Step number 1, of course, we have to listen to our clients' goals and assess their color sensitivity level. You'd be surprised at how few people actually do this. We just assume that all of our clients like things calm and mellow, neutral, like so many of us, especially as stagers and designers. We believe in that, but not all clients are like that. So we have to assess their sensitivity level. Oh, I'm going to actually go through each one of these one by one. So here's the 6 all in one, and then I'm going to go through them one on one. Keep forgetting that. Listen to the home's fixed elements. That's what I was talking to you about, that silent client, the things you cannot change. And then we start with picking the right white. And then we identify the undertones for in the neutrals in the space. That's our silent client again. And then we narrow down the right neutral following our color rules. And then we pick color last. So I'm going to go through each one of these for you. And the first is our clients. Client goals, color sensitivity level, because you can't really pick an ideal scheme without really first listening to our client and really the home, which I always say is a silent client. We do not make color choices in a vacuum, right? So one of the things I do in my color training is I have, and you can take a screenshot of this, it's a pre-appointment. This is like, so the color consultant is asking the right questions right from the get-go. One of the key questions is, how would you rate your color sensitivity level from 1 to 8, 8 being the most bold? Some people just like to surround themselves with lots of color, like my painter friend who specified the really darkest school bus yellow. That is his preference, not ideal, but if that's what they want. And I always say their preference is like hot sauce, right? Some of us like it really spicy, some of us don't. And a lot of times you're going to get your color cues. If you walked into a home like this, it's a color drenched home. Do you think this person is sensitive to color? You can put it in the chat. No. What about this person? Not so much, but see the paint color is kind of more of it enhancing the colors. No. What about this person? Probably yes, a little more sensitive. See? And most of us are going to fall somewhere in between where we're going to kind of follow the rule of color schemes, whether it's the 10, 10, 20, 60, or the 10, 30, 60, where 10 is your accent, 30 is your white, 60 is your neutral. So a lot of times that's how most of us fall along those lines. So once we've listened to them, we also need to ensure that they're careful. We ask them, our clients, part of our listening, what are their favorite colors? Because what we've seen, how many of you on this chat room run into clients who just follow the trends to a T? They went straight to that gray trend and their entire house went gray, furniture, everything, thinking, gray, it's safe. I'm going to love it for the next 20 years, right? How many of you have? Yes, you guys are laughing. Yes. And now they're ripping it all out or rebuying. And now then they went straight to the white and black trend. And then now, uh-oh, what are they doing now? Because here's the thing, our trends are changing so quickly. So when a client strictly follows trends and they're colors that they don't absolutely love, what are we going to run into? Not a timeless space. So then we have to listen to the home's fixed elements, that silent client, the things you cannot change. And I already showed you all those photos of the silent clients that were already telling them what colors to go, and they made mistakes with it. Next, we identify the right white. And here's where you're going to love it because I have a formula where I break color down into categories and types. Because how many of you in the chat find that sometimes just dealing with colors, because there's so many thousands of them, find that it's a bit overwhelming to wrap our little head around? Me. This is why in my training, I break color up. There's three categories. I call them white. And I know my real color theorists are going to be like, Audra, you can't be that simple. Yes, I can. I really can. I'm breaking it up to keep it simple and you'll know where they're following. I know it's not exact color theory, but for specifying in a home, this is the easiest way to do it. Whites, neutrals, those are your beiges, taupes, and grays, and your colors. Those are your saturated colors, your red, blue, green. So I know that sounds pretty easy, right? The first two categories of color, though, need to be further broken down by undertone. I call that type. So three categories, and the first two categories are types. So we'll start with white. This photo, I've got my Benjamin Moore deck. Which white is the most pure white? Can you tell? It's a little tricky. Yeah. It, you put it against a white background, and it's a lot easier to see that each one of these whites have some sort of undertone. So if somebody thinks they're picking a white and they picked Niveus, they're not going to get a white, right? Or if they think that pure white means pure white, they're wrong because you can see when we put pure white against this white background and a Chantilly lace, it's got a tint to it, right, you guys? Um, so the easiest way to kind of break down white is to break it down into types from pure white, that's kind of your Chantilly lace, to your off-white. This is on the Benjamin Moore, you know, to white dove, to your creams, to your tinted whites. And the rules that I have kind of, and you know, of course, rules are meant to be broken. I know my high-end designers are going to be like, oh, I never follow. I get it. But the rules for the average Joe, so that they can avoid, for rules for choosing white trim and cabinet doors, I just have a few rules that are helpful for the average person to follow. You choose the type of white based on the fixed finishes in the space. So you choose white or off-white flexes, guys, or a blue white if the fixed finishes, let's say that kitchen has marble, grays, blacks, honed black, white. It's a lot easier to go pure white on those. We saw those kitchens that made mistakes. Choose cream or off-white. Again, that's our flex color. If they're more earth tone spaces, our craftsman homes, or browns, tans, tumbled stones, that sort of thing. And you can flex pure white in a beige, in a beige warm tone space for trim and ceilings and molding, but it is more ideal to go off-white. I've seen people do it. It's a little harsh, but off-white is more ideal. Because pure and off-white look best with really clean, bright colors, and creams look good with muted. And we all kind of know this intuitively, but we don't always kind of follow it. And here's just some photo examples. White against this marble looks great. Here's a photo example of a very expensive kitchen remodel where everything's white, you got white marble and white backsplash, but they went real creamy on on the cabinets based on the flooring, but it just feels a little off. So one of the others got to give, right? It's not an ideal kitchen. And let's remember this kitchen. Here's what would be more ideal. I like this kitchen. It's got the earth tone finishes, and they ideally did the cream cabinets that kind of go with earth tone. Everything kind of is harmonious. Do you guys kind of see? You could put yes in the chat if you're seeing kind of, as I always say, I like to show good and I like to show bad. I love it. Good. So here's my staging and design color hot tip. And this is what I tell when I have friends or whatever that say, I don't know what white to pick. Just go off white. I already told you off white flexes. That's your safest white to pick. And white drab, just do it. I mean, you wouldn't say that if somebody paid you for a design consultation, but for those of you who are enthusiasts on here going, oh, now you're just confusing me with white, there you go. Here's the white dove. It kind of goes with everything. And if you don't believe me, here it is in a really clean kitchen. This is Martha O'Hare. Here it is in another kind of clean space, and here it is with the whites. So it just kind of has great coverage. So how do we choose white on walls? Here's the thing. How many of you guys see a lot of white all over walls? Obviously that's trending, still trending. White on walls, especially for staging too, is so popular because it really photographs better than it looks in person. And so the irony is that white is actually one of the least safe colors to choose on the walls because there has to be quite a few elements in place for it to work really well. So here's, Studio McGee, who doesn't love them, but you can see they do a lot of white walls, right? And all the homes look white, white, light, saturated in bright light. Here it is, white, light. And sure, you can put that dark couch in there, and it's not going to look like a black hole in when you walk into the space because it's just bathed in light. Well, a lot of this is kind of because it photographs well. And yes, somebody said not as interesting. So it photographs well, but in space, when someone walks in, unless elements are all into play, I'm going to walk you through it, it ends up looking like this. That white didn't work as well in this bathroom. Or like this. This looks like my son's fraternity house where he's living right now. What does it look like? Just kind of blah, right? It doesn't have the elements in place that make white look right on walls. I'm going to teach you what those are. Don't worry. Otherwise, you're just kind of blah. Somebody said that. I love it. Sterile. So here is the basic rules for choosing white for walls. All white walls look great when there's tons of natural light. Otherwise, it's going to be a little shadowy and depressing. Think psych ward. If you haven't seen this movie, it's a good one. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. But, psych wards have white walls. It's a little depressing. They look great in coastal homes. No joke. Coastal homes bathed in light. My stagers think Meredith Bear. Meredith Bear is kind of stager extraordinaire in the LA area, and she swears by white walls always. And it could be because look at her homes are all like this. They're all coastal and gorgeous. They look best when most or all of the furnishings are white. White goes with white. They work really well with a lot of texture, architectural elements, and layers. It works really well when there's fantastic art, right? So it's just showcasing that art. And it also works well when you carefully place contrast, but not too much contrast. So I'm going to show you some examples. Here's my friend Todd from Seattle Staging. This was a staging job. What do you think the white on the walls is doing here for this staged home? You could put it in the chat. It's showcasing the view, right? From a staging perspective, it's brilliant. What do we notice? Ocean view. What did he do? A lot of white and light furnishings, carefully putting in contrast with the fantastic art. A lot of texture and a lot of elements. Yeah, here he did it again. And in this bedroom as well. Do you see all the texture? And so it really works. Leigh Ward, she's one of my stagers. I actually love to showcase and share her work. She took my staging training, all my trainings, I want to say, years ago, and she is kind of designer stager extraordinaire, featured in lots of magazines, articles, and her signature look is white. And it's no surprise she kind of is the designer to celebrities because it's a very peaceful, serene, but notice this room. Notice all the architectural elements bathed in light. Here's a before. No, she didn't do this one. And an after. Okay, beautiful. Carefully placed, contrasting, colorful elements. And not everyone is a fan, obviously, color temperatures, but I'm just telling you when white works and how. This is not a terrible before photo. They had lighter color furnishings, but this one, after she got a hold of it, is better. All right. So now that you know, okay, got the white down, let's get back to our 6 steps. I love it. And you can ooh and ah in the chat as well, the art, everything. And I'm sorry I'm going so fast, but the beauty is you'll be able to watch the replay and pause if you'd like. So we've identified the client goals. We've asked the right questions. We've listened to the home, the current choices, because we can't make color specifications in a vacuum. We've started with the right white. Now we got to identify the undertones in the neutrals of the fixed finishes and the furnishings, because a lot of those furnishings are neutral. A lot of people have just what they consider neutral furnishings, whether it's gray, beige, whatever. We need to know what those undertones are. And then from there, we can identify the right neutral and follow my color rules. And here, no surprise, is where people get it wrong. Do you guys find that sometimes you have the hardest time picking the neutrals in a space, the beiges, the grays, like the right one? How many of you sometimes struggle with that? That's really the beast. Yeah, that's the beast color. Yeah, that makes sense, right? All designers stagers say that's the hardest thing because there's no such thing as a tried and true. We've all gone online and searched for it. What's the tried and true stage and color? And there's no such thing. Um, again, because every neutral has an undertone. And unfortunately, not all those undertones work well with each other. Remember that photo I showed you where that fireplace, the stone fireplace surround looked dirty, the pink beige against the green beige paint color. And it's because they don't all work. And also, lighting affects the way the undertones show. Yeah, somebody already said that. I love it. You guys are on me. This is why picking the right neutral can get really confusing to us. I just spread my Sherwin-Williams neutrals deck. And the irony here is these aren't all the neutrals in the deck because a lot of their whites under their whites category on the Sherwin-Williams deck are considered neutrals as well. So here you can see, and I like spreading it out so you can visually see the undertones of each neutral. If we start at the bottom, you can see where we have the pink beige to the grayish beige, to the gold beige, to the orange beige, to the yellow beige, to the green beige, and then now we're entering into the gray family, and then back to the grayish. We go to gray, grayish. So you see all these undertones? So guess what I do? I'm breaking it up to types. So let's talk about your different types. 2 types, beige, and I know a lot of you think there's a grayish, or is. It's a combo of both, but I kind of lump them, and gray. It's just a little easier for people to wrap their brain around. And within those neutrals, there are types within. So within the beige, and I have my old deck because it's a little easier for you to see it from the old Sherwin-Williams, but in the beige neutrals, there's usually pinky beige, as you can see, taupe beige, that's kind of your grayish, orange beige, yellow beige, gold beige, and green beige. It's kind of your different beiges. The gray deck. And this is just a beast right now because Sherwin-Williams, because of the gray trend, which everyone went berserk on, and that's when this new Sherwin-Williams deck was created. So every paint color and their brother came up with all sorts of new gray neutrals for us. And this gets really confusing to people. Somebody said they miss their old deck. I do too. So you've got your blue green gray, your blue violet gray, your blue gray, and all of your grayish. And then you have your true gray. And this is interesting because I always find We're not just picking the undertones of the furnishings, but sometimes the fixed elements. I had a client who was going to pick, they had the stone sample. They went to the slab yard. How many of you guys have been to a slab yard, looked at the slab, whether granite or stone, thought it looked fantastic in this bright natural light, but then it goes into a client's house and not as good, right? So one of the tips that I give, that's the easiest way, everyone's like, yeah, 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 yeah. Because guess what? Everything looks fantastic in bright natural light. But then when we go into the shadows of a client's home, it doesn't always work. And we can really see the undertones. We can't always see the undertones of things in bright, bright light. So if you see that it is a neutral of some kind, we need to see the undertone. Well, I had this client where she almost went with a violet gray undertone slab. She didn't see the violet in the gray. She just in the slab yard just saw the gray. When we put our control piece gray, which is like a repost gray paint swatch against it, she could clearly see the undertone. So a lot of times we use these to contrast and compare. Like I showed you, Chantilly lace is kind of a pure white, or even just a white, piece of paper against any kind of other white is how you can see the undertone. And my client was aghast, but we saved her a lot of money. Because here is the thing. Did you know that of the thousands of brand specific paint colors, only about 100 of each are used about 85% of the time? That's why you always see people on Pinterest or Instagram talking about agreeable gray and all the common ones. There's those 100 common ones for both Benjamin Moore and Sherwin-Williams, and they are picked 85% of the time because they are kind of the most user friendly. They're usually also some form of neutral because most of us, the bulk percentage, when I talk about that 30, or 10, 30, 60 color scheme that we pick on our homes, the 60 is usually some sort of neutral. It's more livable, right? That's why trends tend to be some form of neutral, whether it's beige trend, grayish trend, white trend. Those are all kind of neutrals, right? So this is true for almost every paint manufacturer. And it's really, not too surprising to any of us because most want some form of neutral. Remember our goals. So the secret I've kind of came up with is knowing the top 100 paint colors and their specific undertones for both Benjamin Moore and Sherwin-Williams. And when you can identify the common undertone in the space, you just pick a unifying undertone paint color that you know is going to work. You're not going to conflict with the undertone. You're going to unify it. This is one of the reasons why what I have in my color training is this massive, took us days to create, but it is a color cheat sheet for the top 100 plus Benjamin Moore and the top 100 plus Sherwin-Williams. And we just updated those for some of you who took our color training. It's brand new. We've added some of our other favorite colors. And I've put each, guess what? I broke it all up by the category, by the type, by the undertone. And then I even put all of my comments on each color that as we've seen it on walls. So that when my color consultants kind of go into a space, if you knew that the most undertone of the beige, let's say you go into a space and everything is kind of a green beige undertone, all the furnishings, finishes, the flooring, whatnot. It's easy then for you to go to your client and say, here are more ideal paint color choices, whether because you just go to the beige neutral green undertone, and I'm just going to match that. So from Manchester tan to Grant beige to Abingdon putty, I mean, these are some of the more ideal choices that I know are more tried and true because I've matched that undertone for them in the space. So that's kind of how you fix the neutral. So we've color sensitivity, we listen to the elements, we have identified the right white, we've identified the right neutrals, we find that unifying neutral, following our color rules, and then we pick color last. Why do we pick color last? Anyone have an idea? It's just my opinion. Because color is kind of the easiest thing to pick, frankly. There's no undertones in color. That's kind of the nice thing because they're saturated colors. So it's really about knowing, okay, what are your clients? What kind of colors are going to go? So some colors don't get along with each other. We all know this. You're not going to decorate your home in bright red and burgundy. No. So intuitively, we kind of know what colors don't. But so it's whether it's the earthy muted or the bright What, so you can start with that and follow a color scheme. So start with the colors, like I said, your clients have always loved, not the trending, prevailing color of the day, but the one that they've always loved to help them create a more timeless design. And then consider, like I mentioned, a 10, 10, 20, 60 scheme where let's say their favorite color is navy. You can go with a complementary scheme, and I can go, you notice like this is a more advanced color training. I could have spent training telling you about the schemes. I figured you already knew them. You can look them up if you need to on the color wheel. But that's kind of the easiest way to go with, colors that work well with each other. You've got your white and then your neutral. And I always like the idea personally of picking color as more accented items in a space. Like that one home I showed you where I said most people fall into this home. And if you notice, the walls were kind of a beige, the trim and the fireplace was a white, the furniture was very neutral, and then they had color throws and accents, lamps, pillows. Then they can swap it out. Do you guys ever do that? I like to swap out according to season, and it just helps sometimes. I'm weird that way. Do you guys ever swap out according to season? Yeah. Yes, I know. I got a little crazy. My fall stuff is coming out. Because here's the thing, color gets exhausting if you are color, especially if you are color drenching. We talked about that. That's a very hot trend right now. If you want a color drench, and obviously as designers, we do that, knowing that color in a space can be very exhausting to people after a very short amount of time, consider doing it in a small space like a bathroom or an unused space like a guest room or an office that's lived with, you know. So now that you know, you guys, it's not just about picking paint. You can't make color choices in that vacuum. We can't go to grandma's, their favorite art piece and pick the colors from. It's not based on their favorite art or their favorite throw. It's based on the fixed things that we cannot change in the space. There's no ideal tried and true. This is why we matter as color experts, right? This is how we tell the ugly story to our clients. This is why they need you in the home. Color is complicated. As I mentioned, people have too many finished choices. They are making mistakes. It's okay to tell them that that will commonly be done without some color advice. People want to spend money. They do on a remodel, but they desperately need you. Use the 6 steps, help the clients to choose the most ideal color choices, not just paint, but for their fixtures, their finishes, their furnishings, everything. And expect design work to follow. And I love, oh, this is one thing. This is kind of a worksheet that's in my training. And you can see, I mean, it's all shorthand because they take the worksheet and they go home and then they give the client a full report. But you'll see really quickly, it's room, lighting, numbers, it's flooring, finishes. We're taking note of these undertones in the space, what they want to stay, what they want to go, maybe, because a lot of times there's a conflicting element. And I love this story from Chris Butcher because she said to me, I opened my mouth at a BNI group. She had taken my staging training. She opened her mouth and said, I can do color consultations. Lo and behold, she got a couple consults. She called them, she made an appointment. Luckily, they could make it a week from that day, and she quickly ordered my color course. She had taken my stager training knowing she get all the forms, price guides, because it's kind of a service in a box. That's how this is designed. It's a 3-day color training. She got through the training. She got great confidence. She followed my 6 steps, went out and did it. And now she's working on purchasing the client's flooring, which the client previously said she would not do. She's painting the client's cabinets, another thing that the client said she would not do. And then she's going to be redesigning her master bedroom closet. The client loved everything that she picked, moving out of her Tuscan trend, doing the updating, and it shot her credibility through the roof, which I love because color is kind of the gateway to a lot of design work. How many of you on this line, if you are a stager and designer, find if you do color consultations, find that it is a gateway to a lot of design work? Anyone? Yeah, because color is very complicated. So people are more inclined to, I need a color consultant. I need a color consultant. They don't think I don't need a designer. I can do that myself. So when you have that process for picking color schemes, which you can see my process isn't just about paint, it's about the finishes. And usually there's a finish in there that could be a problem. We're positioning that process for more design business. It'll grow your business exponentially. I love Erin. I met Erin last month at the RISA convention. She had said, Audra, I had a very busy staging and design business, and life got crazy for me. I went through a separation. I ended up moving far away. And the idea of starting up that level of staging and design business just seemed exhausting to me. I didn't want to invest in the warehouse. She had already done all that. And so she thought, what am I going to do? So she said, I'm living in a new area. She took my color training. She followed my color advice. And in my color training, one of the easiest ways to market, there's a lot of easy ways to market your color consulting business, is she just walked into all the Sherwin-Williams and Benjamin stores in her area. One thing that I have in my color training, which you can create in Canva, is an oversized postcard that shows the ideal paint finishes, because clients have a problem with knowing what paint finish to choose for different spaces. So it's a cheat sheet. And on the back, it just says, need more color help? I'm here to help. It's kind of a sales thing. So you can drop those off at your local Sherwin-Williams, Benjamin Moore stores. And she told them, if you refer me business, I will give you crumble cookies. Well, keep in mind, these are just retailers. They're usually underappreciated in the stores. And she said, I was fortunate enough, I get a lot of enthusiasm. She said, I get so many referrals just from that hot tip. How cool is that? Right? She's like, I'm so glad I took your color course. You do such a good job of breaking down the process into manageable action steps. I finished the course feeling confident, prepared, and motivated. It has been a very lucrative supplement to my income. She's like, it's a full-time income for just a few hours a day. So when she told me that, I had to do the math. I had to do the math. I love it. Someone said, love it. And this will help you to know how to do pricing. For those of you who are like, show me how to do the pricing. Okay. I recommend $350 is kind of an average price for a color consultation or a handful of rooms. So if you were to do 2 color consults a day, kind of busy, but she does 2 color a day, you'd make $700, 14,000 a year, 168 oh, 14,000 a month, 168,000 a year on 5 hours per day and 25 hours a week of work. But let's say you didn't want to work that much. You just want one color consult. Let's say you're like, Audra, I have a staging design business. I don't even put color consulting as a service for my business because I just cringe. I don't want to go in and do color consultations. You do want to do color consultations. They're the easiest things to do, and they break out into more design work. So let's say you just add that service. You do one color consult a day. It's $350. That's 7,000 a month, 84,000 a year, working 2.5 hours a day, 12 and a half hours per week. So you can see I had a little fun. Sometimes it's helpful to do the math, because the thing is, I'm not even assuming that you even have design work as an upsell here. But typically people do get, hey, help me with a room plan. And that's where my color people go into e-design. So does this color stuff get you excited? So here's the business model of color consultations, and this is why I love it. It is a zero overhead business. Outside of just purchasing my training, which is a business in a box, it's zero overhead. You're not buying a bunch of inventory. You really have zero liability. You're not telling them exactly what paint color to put in the space. You're giving them choices based most ideal choices. It taps into your love of color, which I know you've all said that you do. It's easy to market. I gave you one tip. Don't worry, in my color training, I've got lots. It's easy to partner, like I said, with Sherwin-Williams, Benjamin Moore, with painters in your area, with general contractors. It's fast growing because people are making mistakes, and you actually make more money than staging consultations and a lot of even design consultations, because just 2 color consultations will actually pay for my course. So lots of good reasons to get into color. I hope you decide to join me and become a certified color expert. I give you all sorts of color tools. You saw the deck. I got my manual, an oversized binder where you can order your large color samples. I show you how to do that, and I give you my cheat sheet. That's worth its weight in gold, so you can get the most ideal undertones, and you can even use those large samples in a client's house. And don't forget, I give you all the forms, the guides, the how-to, walk you through so you're confident in your color consultations and in your marketing, and my cheat sheet. It's 3 days. It's online. It's at your fingertips. You have access to it for a year, so you'll definitely get through it. And I start with the basics. This is where I do talk about the color schemes. I do talk about color and lighting and architectural elements, things that you must know. And then we get into those rules of color, which I could barely scratch the surface on in this hour with you. Imagine 3 days with me. And then how we interpret that color in each space. And we look at a bunch of homes. And then we create that palette. We talk about how we talk about design elements with clients and we kick it off into design. And then I spend a day on exactly how to look professional and run a professional consultation process so that you're in control and you know exactly what to do. And then marketing essentials, right? It's not, I don't just stop there because I want you to make money. And we give you all sorts of marketing tools that help you to easily market the service, new service, whether it's a new service for your business, whether you're thinking, Audra, I love design and color. How do I just dip my toe? Well, you saw you could work 2.5 hours a day. You could have a full time job and just start color consulting. I think it's a great side design business for people to start. Now, for another big reveal, I'm going to take your questions. Don't worry. This is exciting. We just added this to our color training. It's called a paint selections for your home. I just did a blog post on it if you want to see exactly what it looks like. But basically, it's a Canva template so that my color consultants, you go into the home, you use the worksheet to determine the ideal color choices. Then you go back home and you write down, you can give them the paint selections. It gives them all sorts of tips. It gives them advice. You're not recreating this. You're only working on one page and it makes you look incredibly professional. Looks really, really good because color training is really for everyone. Whether you're looking into the industry, you've just got to love design, right? Whether you're a new stager, if you're a new stager or designer, people are going to ask you, can you give me a color consultation? I walk you through the entire process. My veterans, Erin had already taken a color training, but she didn't feel confident because a lot of color trainings out there are almost sometimes we walk away more confused. And it's more of a simplified way with the consultation and the marketing and even my agents. And for the enthusiast, if you just wanted to make all the right color choices in your home, it's a small price to pay. I love Tara's story. She's like, your color training was fantastic. It helped me so much. I have been getting so many clients asking for color help, and it just naturally went together with my staging and design business, which she's really typical. And so she's like, you have helped me create a staging and design business at the age of 60, and I love it. We've also added, from a marketing standpoint to the training, my 6 common color mistakes. This is I talk about marketing funnels we have on your website, but you could do this as a social post and give this to clients where you can walk them through the mistakes. So it's another Canva template. So we've added a bunch of new goodies to the training. Um, Brittany, the color training is a separate course. The staging training touches on the basics of color, but it doesn't assume that you also want to have a color consulting business. The color training was born because my stagers said, Audra, you need to do a short training on a 3-day training on how to add color consulting in a box. So it's for how to easily add this service to your business. Um, all right. Yeah, someone said, love the extras. And for those of you who are enthusiasts who are like, oh my gosh, the idea of doing a website and doing the whole business side, that's just, you don't really have to. I love the story Alicia told me. She's like, I just needed to email you. I just finished your course and I've had so much success booking clients. She took my advice on, connecting with Sherwin Williams. She's like, I don't even have a website built. And my current general contractor who saw that I'm studied color, that's why the color course is called Certified Color Expert. They know you're an expert. Um, he's having her pick, he flips properties. And so he's having her do all the go-to design. She's picking paint, she's picking fixtures, she's picking flooring, backslash, everything. She doesn't even have a website. I love it. She's like, I see that the opportunities are endless. And just my first couple jobs paid for the course, which I love. If you loved 1 hour of being with me talking about color, I promise you're really going to love 3 days of color because it's so much fun to learn. It's so much fun to talk. I've got oodles of photo examples to show you kind of what to do, what not to do. Somebody said, Is the color training useful even if you're a novice at professional designing? Yeah, Cindy, it is because there's so many resources out there for design. Maybe don't upsell design services. You're going to feel walking away from the color course confident in picking the right color choices in the space, at least helping them with the undertones, the fixed finishes, and you can do quick appointments doing that. You don't have to do the flooring and do all that. I didn't mean to scare you. You can just do color consultations, and I showed you the numbers on that. I love the zero overhead business of it. Yeah, if you've already taken my color training, just go ahead and log in and access the goodies that we add. Everybody knows that I add sometimes new things to my trainings every year and update my trainings. That's why renewal is easy. I have people that haven't taken the training in like 5 years and they renew at $99 and they're right back in and they get all these goodies worth hundreds of dollars. Yes, there is an exam. This is how you get your certificate. You can take the exam as many times as you need, but I want to make sure this is how we know you finished it and you actually do get a color certificate. You guys are great. I'm getting a lot of thank yous. Is there e-design and color that is Dana, that is the e-design color training bundle. If you sign up for the color training with that coupon code, add the e-design, you get $100 off the e-design program, which I never give any deep discount like that. The most I ever discount it with workshops is $50. Somebody said, thank you, Audra. Cindy said, it's time for me to do a refresher on color. I love it. You guys are great. Thank you guys. Oh my gosh, and I kept it to just an hour. Thanks, Jules. You guys, cheers to you. Cheers to your business. I always say it makes so much sense to add these other services to your business because your clients are going to ask you for them. And if you're just a person who loves design and you think it couldn't possibly be me, how can I possibly create a successful business doing design that just feels too big? This is what I do. This is my jam. I have helped thousands of people take their passion for design, color, and create really awesome businesses doing what they love. So your dreams are never too far away that you can't reach them. And so if nothing else, I just want to encourage you. Cheers again and have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your night.